Hey everybody, and welcome to another deep dive. You ready to jump into some more fascinating source material with me today?
Always, always. Let's do it.
All right, so today we're diving headfirst into one of those topics that just never seems to get old UFOs, unexplained
Huh.
aerial phenomena, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
And this time we've got a source that's going to make you sit up and pay attention. We're talking about Luis Elizondo.
Yeah, Elizondo's story is really something else.
It really is. I mean, we're talking about a guy who was basically the Pentagon's point man on UFOs for almost a decade.
Right. Like, he wasn't just some random guy with a telescope in his backyard. This was a serious intelligence officer with a background that would make James Bond jealous.
Absolutely. U.S. Army Department of Defense, National Counterintelligence Executive. The guy's got a resume that just screams top secret.
Exactly. And what makes it even crazier is that after years of working on these super classified investigations, he comes out and publicly confirms that UFOs are real.
Yeah, that's the part that really blows my mind. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy who was literally in charge of figuring out what these things are comes out and says, yep, they're really real. Like, it's not just some vague, we can't rule it out kind of statement. He's flat out saying, these things exist. We've seen the evidence, and it's not something we can just ignore.
And to make things even more interesting, he didn't just stop there. He actually teamed up with some other pretty big names in the world of science and aerospace to form this organization called To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science.
Yeah, TTSA. It's a pretty unique organization. They're not just doing research, they're also trying to develop advanced technologies based on what they've learned from studying UFOs.
It's almost like they're saying, okay, we've seen what these things can do. Now let's see if we can figure out how they do it and maybe even replicate it ourselves.
Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff.
It really is. So let's break this all down carefully, starting with the man himself, Luis Elizondo. Why should we take his word for it? What makes him such a credible source? Well, like we said before, his background is impeccable. I mean, years of experience in intelligence and national security, top-level security clearances, access to information that most people can only dream of.
So, he's not just some conspiracy theorist spouting off random ideas. This is a guy who's been in the trenches, dealing with real-world threats, and analyzing information at the highest levels of government.
Right. He was literally the director of the program dedicated to investigating unidentified aerial threats. He wasn't just some analyst, he was the guy in charge.
And then the fact that he resigned from this position the day before going public with his confirmation of UFOs, I mean,
Yeah.
that speaks volumes, right?
Totally. It shows that he was willing to put his reputation and his career on the line to share this information.
He clearly believes that it was that important.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget the high commendations he received from his superiors at the Pentagon. This wasn't some rogue agent going off the rails. His work was respected and valued at the very highest levels of government.
Yeah, they clearly saw something in him and in his work. That definitely adds to his credibility.
So, okay, we've established that Elizondo's a source we should take seriously. But what exactly did he and his team find? What kind of evidence are we talking about? Here's where things get really interesting. We need to talk about the 2004 incident involving the USS Nimitz. This is one of those cases that really put the whole UFO thing on the map.
Oh, yeah. The Nimitz incident. It's a classic.
It really is. So picture this. You're a Navy pilot, flying an F-18, one of the most advanced fighter jets in the world. You're on a routine training mission off the coast of California, and suddenly your radar picks up something completely out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it's not another plane, not a helicopter, not anything you've ever seen before.
Right. And it's not just a fleeting blip on the radar either. They're tracking this thing for several minutes.
And then things start to get really weird.
Oh, yeah. This object starts pulling off these insane maneuvers, like hovering at 80,000 feet, then dropping down to just 50 feet above the ocean in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, like defying gravity.
Totally, moving at supersonic speeds,
Yeah.
and then coming to a dead stop instantaneously. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It's like it's playing with the laws of physics.
Exactly. And here's the thing. These maneuvers were witnessed by multiple pilots who were sent to investigate.
Right, they tried to intercept it, but this thing just outmaneuvered them effortlessly. It was like they were playing a different game entirely.
And it's not just the pilots either. We're talking about radar operators on board the USS Princeton, which was a guided missile cruiser accompanying the Nimitz. They were tracking this thing too.
So it wasn't just a visual sighting. There's radar data to back it up.
Exactly. This was a real event, witnessed by dozens of military personnel, using sophisticated equipment.
And it wasn't just a one-time thing either. This object was observed over several days, performing these incredible aerial displays.
It's not like they just saw something out of the corner of their eye and then it disappeared. This was a prolonged event with multiple witnesses and hard data to support it.
It really makes you wonder, what could possibly explain something like that?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Elizondo and his team were tasked with answering.
And that's what led them to the possibility that we might be dealing with technology far beyond anything we've ever seen before.
Right, technology that could potentially revolutionize our world. And that's what we're going to dig into next. The really mind-blowing part of this whole story, the possibility that these UFOs are evidence of advanced technologies that could completely change the course of human history. Buckle up, folks, because it's about to get really wild.
I'm ready. Let's do it. All right. So we're talking about the possibility of advanced technologies, potentially even revolutionary technologies. And to really grasp that, we need to bring in another key player in this whole UFO saga, Stephen Justice.
Okay, Stephen Justice. Now that name rings a bell. Remind me.
So Justice is a former program director from Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works.
Skunk Works. Now that's a name that gets any aviation geek excited.
For good reason. That's where they developed some of the most legendary aircraft in history, like the SR-71 Blackbird.
Oh, yeah. The Blackbird, that thing was a beast. Could outrun missiles.
Exactly. So we're not talking about some armchair theorist here. Justice has a serious background in aerospace engineering. He knows a thing or two about pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
So what's his take on UFOs and all this talk about advanced technology?
Well, Justice believes that by studying these UFOs and the way they move, the things they seem to be capable of, we could unlock some incredible secrets.
Like, what kind of secrets are we talking about?
He envisions things like vehicles that can travel not just through air, but through land, oceans, even space.
Hold on. Through land, ocean, space. Are we talking about some kind of all-terrain spaceship here?
Well, sort of. He's talking about manipulating space-time itself to achieve near-instantaneous travel.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's some next-level stuff.
It is. It sounds like science fiction, right?
Yeah.
But coming from a guy like Justice, someone who's dedicated his career to pushing the boundaries of what's technologically possible, it's hard to just dismiss it.
Yeah. I mean, if we could actually figure out how to manipulate space-time, like, that would be a total game changer.
Absolutely. We're talking about potentially traveling to anywhere on Earth in a matter of minutes, or even reaching other planets in a fraction of the time it takes now.
I can't even wrap my head around that. So how does he think we can achieve this space-time manipulation thing?
Well, it involves some pretty complex concepts like relativity, wormholes, things that are still largely theoretical.
Yeah, that sounds way above my pay grade.
Mine too.
Yeah.
But the fact that someone with Justice's expertise is even considering these possibilities, it's pretty significant.
So we've got Elizondo, a top intelligence officer, confirming the reality of UFOs, hinting at exotic technologies. And then we've got Justice, a brilliant aerospace engineer, suggesting that we could potentially harness these technologies to achieve things we could barely even imagine. What happens next in this story?
Well, remember, to the Stars Academy, the organization Elizondo co-founded, they're not just sitting on this information, they're actually trying to do something with it.
Okay, so what are they up to?
Well, Elizondo has promised to release previously classified footage of UFOs captured by government systems.
Whoa, now that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff that gets people excited.
It could be a game changer. If we can see high-quality footage captured by military equipment, that could really shake things up.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about grainy, blurry videos taken on some guy's cell phone. This would be the real deal.
Exactly. It could provide the concrete proof that a lot of skeptics have been demanding.
So, is Elizondo claiming that this footage definitively proves that UFOs are alien spacecraft?
Not necessarily. He's been very careful not to overstate his claims.
So what is he saying then?
He's saying that these UFOs exhibit technology that we don't currently understand, and that they deserve serious scientific study.
So he's not jumping to conclusions. He's just saying we need to investigate this further.
Exactly. And he's also calling for greater transparency and collaboration. He wants other government agencies and experts to join the conversation.
Okay, so he's not trying to keep this all hush-hush. He's actually trying to bring more people into the fold.
Right. He understands that this is a global issue that requires a global response.
Yeah, that's actually really refreshing. I mean, for years, this whole UFO thing has been shrouded in secrecy and conspiracy theories.
It has. And Elizondo's approach is a welcome change.
It is. So we've got Elizondo and Justice both presenting some pretty compelling arguments. But I'm sure there are still plenty of skeptics out there. What are they saying about all of this?
Well, some people argue that the UFO sightings Elizondo cites could be explained by more mundane things, like misidentified aircraft, atmospheric phenomena, or even psychological factors.
So they're saying it's not necessarily aliens.
Right. They're saying we need to be cautious and consider all possible explanations.
I mean, that's fair, right?
Ah,
Eyewitness accounts can be unreliable, and even radar data can be misinterpreted.
absolutely. And some critics have also raised concerns about Elizondo's association with To the Stars Academy.
Okay, why is that?
Well, some people see TTSA as sensationalizing the UFO topic for profit. They worry that this could undermine the credibility of Elizondo's claims.
It's like a conflict of interest kind of thing.
In a way, yeah.
So where does that leave us? We've got compelling evidence from credible sources, but we've also got valid concerns from skeptics. How do we reconcile these two perspectives?
That's the challenge, isn't it? I think the key is to approach this topic with both a healthy dose of skepticism and an open mind.
So we shouldn't blindly accept everything we hear, but we also shouldn't dismiss it outright without careful consideration.
Exactly. We need to find that balance between critical thinking and a willingness to consider possibilities that might seem outlandish at first glance.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we find that balance?
Well, I think it starts with being honest with ourselves about our own biases.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, do we want to believe in UFOs? Are we predisposed to dismiss them? Are we afraid of the implications if they are real?
So we need to be aware of our own preconceived notions and how they might be influencing our interpretation of the evidence.
Right. Once we've acknowledged our own biases, then we can start to look at the evidence more objectively.
But what about the evidence itself? How do we know what to trust?
Well, not all evidence is created equal. We need to look at the source, the methodology, the potential for bias or error.
So we need to be critical thinkers.
Absolutely. We need to ask questions,
Yeah.
demand proof, and not be afraid to challenge the status quo.
So it's not about blindly accepting everything we hear.
Yeah.
It's about being active participants in the search for truth.
Exactly. And that means being willing to have our minds changed.
Okay, so let's say we've done all that. We have acknowledged our biases, we've critically examined the evidence, and we're still open to the possibility that UFOs might be real. What then? What are the implications of that?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The implications are huge. It could mean that our understanding of physics is incomplete, that there are other intelligent beings out there, that we're not alone in the universe.
That's a pretty big deal.
It is. And it raises a whole host of other questions, like what are their intentions? Are they friendly? Are they hostile? What kind of technology do they possess? And how could that technology impact our world?
Whoa. Okay, so we're going from UFO sightings to potential alien contact to the future of humanity.
It's a lot to process, I know.
It is, but it's also incredibly exciting. I mean, we're potentially on the cusp of a major paradigm shift in our understanding of reality.
We are. And that's both exhilarating and terrifying.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears a bit and delve deeper into the Stars Academy. What exactly is this organization all about?
So TTSA is a unique entity. It's a blend of science, aerospace engineering, and even entertainment.
Entertainment. How does that fit in?
Well, they understand that to capture the public's imagination and inspire further investigation, they need to go beyond dry scientific reports and engage with people on a cultural level.
So they're trying to make this whole UFO thing more mainstream.
Exactly. They want to move it away from the realm of fringe science and conspiracy theories and into the realm of legitimate scientific inquiry.
That's a pretty ambitious goal.
It is, but they're making some headway. They've been featured in major media outlets, they've released some pretty compelling evidence, and they've attracted some serious talent.
Yeah, I mean, they've got former government officials, scientists, engineers, and even people from the entertainment industry all working together. That's a pretty diverse group.
It is, and that diversity is one of their strengths. They're bringing together people with different perspectives and skill sets to tackle this complex issue from multiple angles.
So they're not just focused on releasing old footage. They're also actively researching and developing new technologies based on what they've learned from studying UFOs.
Exactly. They're looking at things like advanced propulsion systems, new energy sources, and even material science.
So they're trying to reverse engineer some of the technology they've observed in UFOs.
Exactly. They believe that by doing so, we could make groundbreaking advances that could benefit all of humanity.
A pretty bold goal.
It is, but it also raises some ethical questions.
Like, what kind of ethical questions?
Well, if we do manage to replicate these advanced technologies, how do we ensure that they're used responsibly?
That's a good point. I mean, we've seen what happens when powerful technologies fall into the wrong hands.
Exactly. So it's crucial that we have open and honest conversations about the ethical implications of this research, and that we develop safeguards to prevent these technologies from being misused.
So, It's not just about the science. It's also about the ethics.
Absolutely. We need to consider the broader societal and ethical implications of our discoveries.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
So what does all of this mean for the average person? Why should someone who's not a scientist or a government official care about UFOs and advanced technologies?
Well, for starters, it's just fascinating, isn't it? The idea that we might not be alone in the universe, that there might be other civilizations out there with technologies far beyond our own.
Yeah, it's like a real-life science fiction story unfolding right before our eyes.
Exactly. But it's also about more than just entertainment. If even a fraction of what Elizondo and his colleagues are saying is true, it means that our understanding of reality is about to undergo a major shift.
We're talking about a potential paradigm shift in our understanding of physics technology and perhaps even the nature of consciousness itself.
It's a lot to wrap your head around, and it's natural to feel a mix of excitement, skepticism, and even a little bit of fear when confronted with these ideas.
It's like standing on the edge of the unknown, peering into a vast and uncharted territory. And that's both exhilarating and unsettling.
Precisely. And it's in these moments of uncertainty that we have the opportunity to grow, to expand our horizons, and to embrace new possibilities. Who knows what incredible discoveries await us in the years to come?
Yeah, it's a reminder that the universe is full of mysteries and that there's still so much we don't know. And that, I think, is a beautiful and humbling thought. But for now, we've got to take a quick break.
Don't worry, we'll be back soon to delve even deeper into the mysteries surrounding UFOs and the potential implications for humanity.
Welcome back, everybody. We've been on quite a journey so far, exploring the world of UFOs, Elizondo's revelations, the Nimitz incident to the Stars Academy. It's all been pretty mind-blowing.
It really has. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. But before we wrap things up, I want to take a step back and look at the big picture. What does all of this mean for humanity?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? If these UFOs are real, if they are evidence of advanced technologies beyond our current understanding, what does that mean for us as a species?
It's almost like a Copernican revolution.
Yeah.
But instead of realizing that the Earth revolves around the sun, we're realizing that humanity might not be the only intelligent life in the universe.
Exactly. It's a paradigm shift in our understanding of our place in the cosmos.
And that raises a whole bunch of other questions, like, what are the implications for science, for technology, for our understanding of the universe itself?
The possibilities are pretty much endless. We could learn new physics, develop revolutionary technologies, maybe even find solutions to some of humanity's biggest problems.
It's like opening a door to a whole new realm of
It
possibility.
is. But of course, not everyone is convinced.
Right. There are still plenty of skeptics out there.
And that's okay. Skepticism is healthy. It forces us to think critically and to demand strong evidence.
Exactly. We need to be cautious and avoid jumping to conclusions. But at the same time, we shouldn't be afraid to explore the unknown, to ask tough questions, and to consider possibilities that might seem outlandish.
It's all about finding that balance between skepticism and open-mindedness.
Yeah. So for our listeners out there who are intrigued by this topic, what advice would you give them? Where should they go from here?
I'd say the most important thing is to stay curious. Read everything you can get your hands on. Watch documentaries, listen to podcasts like this one. And most importantly, think critically. Don't just accept what you hear at face value.
Yeah. Question everything, weigh the evidence, form your own conclusions.
Exactly. And remember, this is just the beginning. The more we learn about UFOs and the more we explore the possibilities, the more questions we're going to have.
It's a journey of discovery. And who knows what incredible things we might find along the way.
Well said. So to everyone listening out there, keep looking up, keep those minds open, and never stop questioning the nature of reality itself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of UFOs. It's been a wild ride.
It has. And we'll see you next time for another deep dive into something equally fascinating.
Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep wondering.